Independent Man. His videos are high quality, top shelf, very well done. We have differing opinions on certain things, but in general, it doesn't matter. They're still enjoyable to listen to and watch because he does a really fantastic job with what he does. So I must chastise him a little bit. I don't want this to be completely negative because in his video about the election, he brings up some good points here and there, and we'll get to those here momentarily. But he's sort of on a tear about, Trump is this and Trump is that, massive voter fraud, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Well, Independent Man, I will agree that Trump's team has gone a bit over the top. Well, we've got millions of votes that were blah, 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 landslide. Come on now. I mean, that's standard Trump, right? Just way over the top, because that's kind of the way Trump is. The reality is there weren't millions of votes different. Just come on now. Why would that be? Well, there's something we call expectation, right? Now, most, I think, humans, and I'm not any psychoanalyst here or anything, but I think most humans, if they see something and they can find it somehow in their brains, say, well, yeah, I guess we could probably expect something like that. I think most people would go, yeah, well, hey, it happens. You win some, you lose some, whatever, and so on and so forth. For example, there was something like Austin, Texas, where I used to live just last year, actually. If the election returns came back and somehow Donald Trump won Travis County, Texas, and Williamson and some of these other counties, that would raise a red flag. Because what is the expectation in Austin, Texas, or Chicago? Well, the expectation is they're going to be pretty reliably Democrat. Because a lot of people in Austin, Texas are progressive, whatever, left kind of thing. Same with like Portland and Seattle. If those cities, counties came back for Trump, it'd be like, wait a minute, that doesn't pass the smell test. Because this is Seattle and Portland and Austin, Texas. One might say, well, I didn't expect that. And it'd be so far beyond a normal person's expectation. Well, Trump is going to win Austin. You say that to anyone and they're going to, what? What are you talking about? Same with Boulder, Colorado, right up here, up the road a little bit. Yeah, Boulder voted for Trump. It's like, no way. Now there might be a bit of mirth, right? Ooh. Biden sucks so bad that Boulder voted for Trump. But then again, you'd be going, that just does not sound possible. And so you might think to yourself, I wonder if there was something hanky going on. Because clearly, Chicago, Boulder, Portland, Austin, San Francisco. If San Francisco, it came back that the Bay Area voted for Trump, we'd be going, what in the hell is going on here? Because we can look at the last election. The map is actually very similar, except obviously, Trump lost in some key states. But I mean, you know the reliably blue ones, right? California, Oregon, Washington. You've got Texas reliably red, at least for now. New York, New Jersey, basically New England, pretty much all blue. Now, if one of those places came back with red, say New York, and they voted for Trump, which would be a reversal literally from election to election of millions of votes in order for Trump to win New York, you might throw a flag and say, excuse me, this doesn't really sound right. I think we need to kind of look at this a little bit because that is just, it's not in anyone's expectation. However, Independent Man, we're talking about states here who many of them last time went for Trump, and it was very close, 10, 15,000 votes, something on that order. And we might say, well, that's interesting. It would have been, like in Wisconsin or Michigan, roughly, a million vote swap, something in that order, whatever it was. You might say to yourself, not beyond a person's expectation, but maybe there's something hanky going on there. And Susan, at YouTube. I'm not saying there was fraud. I'm just pointing out if you were going to do such a thing. Independent man. If, for example, Trump won by huge amounts in states where there's no frigging way it'd be possible for him to win, everybody'd be throwing flags. They'd be saying, no, no way. Chicago did not vote for Trump. There's something going on. But we're not talking about these states, are we? Illinois, California, Oregon, Washington, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Connecticut, etc. Reliably blue, nobody's asking any questions. And there's probably nothing going on in those states. Why, if, again, not saying it happened, but if you were going to do something hinky, why would you bother in a state like New York? Because Biden's going to win anyway. It doesn't matter. So why would you go through all the trouble of doing whatever you had to do to get more votes for Biden when he's already got the state, right? But you talk about Pennsylvania and some of the swing states, that's where it gets a little interesting, right? I mentioned in one of the comments I put on your video, I'll link it below so you can go watch it again. Very well done video. I disagree with his conclusions, but still a good video. You look at Wisconsin and Arizona and Georgia and Pennsylvania, it's pretty close, brother. You keep referring to Michigan. Well, Trump is trying to do this in Michigan, trying to get faithless electors to vote for him and all. Dude, bro, come on. 150,000 votes. That would be difficult to come up with fraudulently. I mean, it's possible, sure. But 150,000, pretty fat margin, right? But you look at some of the other swing states, Pennsylvania, as I said, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona. We're talking 10, 15, 20,000 votes. In a country of 335 million people, that's not a lot. Secretary Clinton lost by roughly these same margins back in 2016 in these swing states, right? So it wouldn't be a surprise if some of these swing states swung back the other way. See, expectations. That's the key. If something comes out and the expectation is it would never happen, raises a red flag. Most people, however, expectations in Wisconsin might go blue, might go red. We don't know. That's why it's a swing state, right? Not too many people would be saying 10,000, 15,000 votes. Yeah, it's close. Could happen. Not beyond something you can imagine. But the question is, if, and I'm not saying that it happened, but if you were going to do that, you wouldn't want the difference to be something beyond expectations. For example, if Joe Biden won Wisconsin by 1 million votes, you might be going, that seems a little bit hard to believe. Since last time it was pretty much divided 50-50, and now we've got 70-40 or 70-30 or whatever. Yeah, kind of wondering about that. So if you were going to do something nefarious, you'd want to keep it within the realm of expectation. 10, 15, 20,000 votes. Yeah, I could probably see not too many people are going to question it a whole lot because, well, like I said, you win some, you lose some. Now, how hard would it be if you were going to do some of these things? You bring up Georgia. I believe it was 12,000 votes roughly. 159 districts. Well, friend, that would be what, 70 votes per district. Do you think if you were going to do something nefarious that you couldn't come up with 70 votes here and there of dead people somewhere? Or bad registrations, maybe illegal aliens voting, something like 70 votes in a county is not a lot of votes, brother. And you add that up over the entire state and you quickly get up to 12,000. Now, of course, that would tie, but I think you get my point. The problem that Trump had, and I agree with you, over the top, massive voter fraud and all this, which is crap. That's not correct. Trump didn't win a landslide. We get it. But you don't have to be involved in massive voter fraud. If you think about it. The few votes here and there. I'm not saying it happened. I'm just saying I could see the possibility if it's within expectations. The expectation was this election was going to be very close, and by golly, it was. Why do you think, sir, why do you think they kept Biden's going to win by a landslide, there's going to be a blue wave, there's going to be all this shit? Because they wanted to plant the seed that if the election was so out of whack to not meet the expectations of the polls, obviously Donald Trump did some voter fraud with the Russians or the Chinese or whoever. But they didn't have to resort to that because Biden won. Do you see my point? And the down ballot thing you mentioned, that's very, very interesting. That so many people evidently hated Trump to the point where they filled out the ballot for Biden, but didn't fill out anything else. That seems a little odd as well. I mean, if you're for Biden and his policies, you're progressive, I guess, lefty, you didn't vote for your senator or representative or your dog catcher. Just fill in that one dot and send the ballot in. That seems a little bit odd. Now I can understand, because my ballot was full of, here's the county commissioner and here's the regent for all kinds of stuff. I could probably understand if some people didn't fill those in because maybe they don't know or they don't care and blah, 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 blah. But the frigging federal representation, if you're so pro-Biden, you'd want him to have a comfortable margin in the House and the Senate. I think these people would fill in the dots for the Democrats. But many people didn't, it turns out. Odd that. I'll put the link below so you can listen to the video and see what you think. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think there's a possibility, but I'm not saying it happened. But we'll find out. James Maxwell, thank you for listening.